Let's take a closer look at Acumatica's Distribution Edition and the features and benefits they can provide your business. Some of the things we'll talk about today include dashboards and workspaces for visibility and taking quick action, inventory item management for centralized and efficient management and reporting, template or matrix items as we like to call them, for faceted items with easy creation and updating of multiple items at once. We've got kits, both assemble to stock and kit to order. Replenishment, purchasing process, and landed costs are going to give you accurate profitability reporting, including all the extraneous costs that might be eating into your margins. Sales orders with and without drop shipping support to help you recognize income and liability without affecting inventory on hand. RMAs, hopefully not too many, but when we need them, we can know exactly what to expect inbound and manage the credits due to keep your customers happy and coming back. Reports like sales profitability, dead stock and inventory turnover to keep things moving in the right direction. And of course, PC Bennett's exclusive Auto Fitment Plus. Looks like we got a green flag, so let's go. Landing on the Purchasing Manager dashboard, we see things like open orders and late orders. Purchase suggestions are important, and orders pending approval. We'll come back to that later. Highest turnover and lowest turnover items are going to help keep an eye on things that we need to keep moving. Another distribution-focused dashboard is the Warehouse Manager. This one has a parameter so we can narrow it down to see just which items are affecting that warehouse. Here we've got orders to ship and late sales orders, orders to be received, and incoming returns. The Receiving Clerk dashboard is going to give us visibility into those incoming returns and also the goods to put away. If we clear that parameter again, we're going to get visibility across our entire organization. The Customer View dashboard is going to give us a CRM perspective for customer relationship management, but also distribution with a parameter to filter to an individual customer. We're going to see all the open orders related to that customer, the top 10 items sold in the last 12 months, and all the recent activities. Another way to peek into the capabilities of the system is to preview the menu options available in our workspaces, things that you might use in a day in the life of Acumatica, processing orders en masse, generating intercompany sales transactions if necessary, as well as some of the hundreds of reports available on day one with more coming in each release, and all fully tailorable to your specific needs. The Purchases workspace also shows that we include requests and requisitions available as a starting point for your purchase process, although not required. This may be useful if you have a larger organization with multiple procurement departments to allow full control over your critical processes. The Inventory workspace lets us manage items with multiple vendor prices and record the history. Non-stock and stock items for which we can handle our physical inventory, not covered in this demo, but let us know if you want to know more about it. Kits specifications and assembly transactions, and plenty of inquiries to provide insights into stock levels. My favorites menu is here to serve all my most used functions all in one place. Let's take a closer look at an item master record and some of the details that we can manage there. In my recently viewed menu, I can see a tuning module for a BMW I've had a lot of interest in lately. With item classes, we can filter and report, as well as set defaults that are going to propagate down when we create new items of that class. The valuation method is going to give us various ways to manage the value of the inventory in stock, and the planning method is going to help us replenish that inventory when it runs low. We support lot and serial tracking right out of the box with new attributes at the lot level coming in 25R1. Very cool stuff. We've been waiting for that. Units of measure are there to do the math for you when you have multiple units of measure to convert. Boxes of 4 and pallets of 400 aren't going to take much thinking when we need to process orders of those types. The price cost tab, like it sounds, is going to give me my MSRP and default price, as well as the last cost we paid for that item, which is going to update as we bring in new receipts. The Warehouses tab is going to allow me to keep stock in multiple locations. And if I drill in, we're going to be able to see settings for inventory planning when it comes time to replenish this item. We can set safety stock, reorder points, and max quantity, and even a default vendor, which is going to be really helpful for automation. The Attributes tab is where I can upload pictures for my e-commerce and set user-defined fields, namely attributes, that are going to help me filter and sort this item with fields that aren't in every database. This really highlights the flexibility of Acumatica to grow with your ever-changing business. The Vendors tab is going to show us multiple vendors. We can set one as a default, input lead times, even have individual vendor IDs in case they call it something different than we do. The Packaging tab is where we can input weight and volume statistics, packaging options, and multiple box sizes, which are going to help keep shipping costs down when we can consolidate. On the Cross-Reference tab, we can input vendor and customer part numbers, barcodes, and UPCs, which are going to automatically cross-reference when we need them. The Inventory Planning tab related to MRP or DRP, that's Distribution Requirements Planning if you need more advanced planning metrics. And the Related Items tab is going to show us how we can mention cross-sells, which are required or not, and may even expire if we need to have that functionality available. Upsell and substitute items are going to help us maximize the sale and make sure that we move that old inventory before the new stuff. Another item here shows that we have a substitute that is required. So remember that for later. We're going to highlight that in a minute. Let's take a look at how some of this behaves when we're entering a new sales order. Just start typing and we can select a customer. We're actually going to input a vehicle for this sales order so that we make sure to ship the right parts for Robbie's BMW. That M2 has a lot of details and PC Bennett's exclusive Auto Fitment Plus allows you to retrieve the VIN information, including all of the details related to the vehicle so that you know that you're shipping the right part the first time. This is a PC Bennett exclusive. Allowing us to filter the items to the vehicle means that we're going to ship the right part the first time and minimize those returns. We're going to add that tuning module for the BMW. And you should notice that when it comes up, we have a related item. This related item is required. And if we drill in, we're going to see that most people need a wire harness also for their tuning module there. So we'll add that one up. We can also add the computer because often people tuning their cars need a laptop to connect to it. When we add that one, we're going to see that there are some also related cross-sell items for this one. Drilling in there is going to let us see which ones are related and, again, maximize that sale. Having this information visible to the order taker at the time is going to prompt them to talk to the customer on the phone and turn that sale into a larger one. Notice that this item has a required substitution. That hard drive's being phased out. We want to make sure that we get the latest and greatest into the hands of the customer. Now, that's going to prompt an error when I create the shipment. Another way of introducing controls into Acumatica that are going to help us achieve our goals by shipping out the old items before the new ones. Some great controls to help us flow the inventory the way we need to. All right, so let's take a look at template items. Also in the inventory workspace down below, we have profiles for template items. We also call these matrix items. They're going to help us set up some variants, if you will, for our items that allow us to set things like size and color, as well as things like quantity or resistor tolerance. So again, arbitrary things, but very specific to your business. A look at another one of those template items shows that we can do things like size and color, but the system is also going to allow us to automatically generate those inventory IDs and even the descriptions for those items. So when it comes time to creating or managing the items, we can certainly do that en masse. So creating a large number of items with a large number of variants becomes a breeze when we're taking a look at the matrix. We can also have individual control over the descriptions and have, again, granular edits at the individual item level. When we want to add items to a purchase order or a sales order, we can actually use those functions and pick from a list as opposed to adding individual items one by one. So if I select the front seats here, maybe I want 2 black ones, 2 red ones, and 2 black and red ones. Click the Add and Close button. That's going to add multiple lines to our purchase order without having to do them individually. This, of course, works the same on a sales order. So if you're on the phone with a customer, you can act quickly and make sure you get them satisfied. We're going to cover purchasing more in depth coming up, so let's move on to stock kits for now. Let's take a look at our stock items list. I've got a tab to show all my kits here. Our bushing set is going to show us all of the details for that, but importantly, that this item is a kit. So what does that mean? Let's take a look at kit specifications and we can see all of the details. Here we can add all of the stock item components in their quantities and even non-stock items if we want to include some labor when it comes time to assembling these things. When we want to make the items to stock, we're going to use a process called a kit assembly. So if I add in a new kit assembly order here, I select my stock kit, which we're going to be building to put on the shelf. I'll put in a quantity here and you can see that multiples are automatically calculated. I can make 4 no problem, but if I try to make 40, you're going to notice here that we don't have enough inventory on hand to satisfy all of those, and that's going to be important when we're talking about replenishment. If I take my kit assembly order off of hold and then drill into our prepare replenishment screen, we should see by selecting the wholesale warehouse, deselecting me as the manager, that we now have demand to order more of those components to fulfill that assembly order. All right, so that's a great segue from template items and kits to move into the replenishment, purchasing, and landed cost processes. I'm going to do a quick universal search for a transaction that I had prepared for our demo today. Looking at this sales order, we've got some tires on order. We can see that this sales order is requesting 40 of these and 28 of those. Obviously, the exclamation circles here are telling me that I don't have enough in stock to fulfill those orders, but this order is generating demand for our replenishment process. So I'm going to open up the Prepare Replenishment screen now. And if we select the retail warehouse, we should see that we've got some demand there. Quantity on demand, those are the numbers from our sales orders. We can also see our safety stock and reorder points and the max quantity that we want to have in stock. And that's going to give us the quantity to process when it comes time to creating purchase orders, which we can also do from this screen. I'll check a couple of boxes off and hit the process button. That's going to generate a purchase order for that one vendor, but we can certainly do this for multiple vendors en masse and multiple items across multiple warehouses in a process. We can also add a schedule for this so that when it comes time to replenishing, we don't necessarily need to do this by hand. We can have the system create the inventory plan for us. Okay, now that we've got the plan, we can proceed with the process of creating the purchase order. So opening the Create Purchase Orders processing screen is going to give me the option to filter. So I can, again, select my retail warehouse if I want to look at just that warehouse. I can check off those two boxes for the items that we have planned. When I click the process button, that's going to generate a purchase order for me. Again, we can do this for multiple items, multiple vendors, and have the system inform us when it's time to replenish our inventory. Now, the system has generated the purchase order on hold status. I'm going to take it off hold, and that should trigger our pending approval. I'm not going to approve it now because I wanted to show you from our favorites menu under the dashboards on the purchasing manager dashboard again. We now have a new order pending approval. That number went from 4 to 5. Go ahead and drill through there and we can see that new purchase order on the list and have it approved immediately. Just wanted to show a few different ways to approach this problem from different role-based perspectives. So changing roles one more time, let's go into the purchases workspace and enter a new purchase receipt. Select the vendor, add PO. Maybe we've got the vendor's label on the box so we know who it came from. Box is on the dock. We're going to accept that PO, add it, and close on our purchase receipt here. So note you can change the quantity if they've overshipped or undershipped. How much we're actually receiving might be different than what we ordered. That can be controlled with a threshold at the vendor level. And we can also manage the three-way match process. If we uncheck the create bill box, that's going to leave us an accrued purchase balance that we can later associate with a bill. This time I'm going to leave it checked, and that's going to go directly to our accounts payable. It's going to require a vendor reference, but that's a preference. We want to make sure that we're not getting billed for the same things twice. And when I release that inventory, again, that's going to increment our inventory and our accounts payable balance. If I flip over to the other tab here, I can see I've got an inventory reference batch. That's going to show me that we've received the inventory. The batch here is going to give us all the debits and credits for our GAAP compliant accounting. If I switch modules to AP, head back one, and now we've got the accounts payable balance also correctly accounted for. I also recall we uncovered in Discovery that landed costs are an issue now. We're not getting great costing because we're not accounting for all of those extra costs that might add to our inventory value and eat into our margins. If I open up the actions menu here, I can see the enter landed costs button. I can even make that a favorite if it's something that I'm doing often. I click the little star icon and now I've got a big button on my toolbar here. Clicking the enter landed costs button brings me to a new landed cost transaction. We can enter our landed cost vendor, transit transport in this case, and we're going to put in some landed cost codes for transport value. And maybe that's a $1,500. We save that. And we're going to be able to see on the details tab that that value is now allocated across our inventory by weight as we have designated. A few ways to allocate inventory: by weight, by volume, by quantity, or manually if that's something you need to have final control over. When I remove the hold on this transaction and release it, that's going to post to the GL. That's what released means in Acumatica speak. And once we've got that, now we can take a look at the inventory transaction history report to give us some better visibility into our actual costs. By opening up the inventory transaction report filtered to our item and our retail warehouse, we can see now that we've got a new item receipt. And if I check the include landed costs in unit cost button, we should see that we are now reflecting those true costs based on our actual inventory receipts, including the transit cost that it cost to get us here. Now, it's possible that we're going to have some items where the vendor ships directly to our customer. In other words, a drop ship. The inventory doesn't actually hit our dock, and we're going to show you how that process works. I'm going to enter a new sales order here. We're going to select our favorite AA customer. Let's go ahead and add an inventory item. Another version of that tuning module, one that's not as popular, so we don't actually keep them in stock. So notice when I add this one, because of the way I have it configured in my item record, it automatically comes up as a mark for PO. That checkbox means that we're going to issue a purchase order for this every time we sell it. This way we can do a drop ship or even a purchase to order item. This time we're drop shipping it. So take a note of the customer's address here. That's going to be important later when we're talking about the purchase order. And to generate that purchase order, I can simply click the Create Purchase Order button. So that knows, the system knows that we need to buy something for this order. It's ready to prompt us for it. We can do this for one order at a time or multiple orders en masse. Again, the system automation is going to enable us to process these in a more efficient way than one by one. Clicking the Process or Process All button is going to take me through to the next screen where it actually has generated a purchase order for this item. All right, looking at the purchase order, we can take it off hold. Printing the purchase order is going to indicate here to our audience that although we are buying it for the customer, it's not being shipped to us, it's going directly to them. All right, we can fast forward time a little bit in our demo world here and pretend that our vendor has notified us that they have shipped the item. We're going to enter a PO receipt to indicate to the customer that it's on the way. Maybe input the vendor's tracking number for the reference, and when I release this, it's going to actually move the inventory through without affecting our values. We're going to have a cost of goods sold. We're also going to have the liability to the vendor and the AR for the customer. When I jump back to the sales order itself, we should be able to see that the status now shows as completed. Drill in there, and on the Shipments tab, we're going to be able to see that the system has auto-generated a receipt for us and move the inventory through to the customer. The next step, we can actually prepare the invoice for the customer and send them the bill. And there it is. Okay, now we're going to move on to discussing RMAs, or Returns of Merchandise Authorization. We actually have 3 different types of returns in Acumatica. We can do these for credit, for just accepting a straight return, an exchange for a like item, or an exchange for a different item, and that can be for the same price or a different price. In Acumatica, a RMA is another type of sales order. We actually have 3 types. So if I look at the order types here, and we filter to those that start with R, we should see all the returns, different types. So return for credit again. An RMA order is something that we're expecting back, and a return with replacement might be something that we need to receive and then ship out something for. Either way, we're going to know exactly what's coming, and the warehouse will have no surprises. They'll be alerted and know exactly what to look for. In this case, the customer wants a credit, just a straight return, and they want to have their account credited for that. So I select the customer. When I select the button to add invoice, I should be able to filter here, or when I'm on the phone with the customer, maybe I'll ask them what it is that they bought. Do they remember when they bought it? Do they have the invoice number? And maybe they don't. So we can actually filter here based on item numbers. So if I enter an item number, I should see all the orders for this item from this customer. They may know more or less when they bought it, and how many they bought. So maybe we need to bring some of those back in. They may have bought too many, or maybe one was damaged and they just want a credit for that. So how many we're returning, just one in this case. On this screen, you can even add a restocking fee if that's something that your company has a policy for. So I'll go ahead and save that, take it off of hold. And then the next step is to create the receipt. So when that inventory arrives, we're going to know that it's coming, and creating the receipt back into inventory can be something that is managed. Now, you may need to check that inventory before it comes back in, make sure that everything is good before we put it back into stock. When I confirm the receipt, that's going to acknowledge the receipt of goods, and it's going to increment our inventory. When I prepare the invoice for that item, that should generate the credit to the customer. All that great functionality with shipping and receiving, with landed costs, is going to give us great visibility into our profitability by customer and order, by item and order, and even detailed sales profitability analysis. Reports like dead stock and inventory turnover are going to show us what's not moving so we can maximize our cash flow. Let's take a look. Jumping into the receivables workspace, we can see we've got a ton of reports that come out of the box, and if I expand, there's even more. I wouldn't have time to show you all of these even in an hour. So let's just take a look at some of those most important ones. Let's take a look at the sales profitability by customer and order. These are some of the things that you said you're looking for, and I can show you how we can give you that visibility with Acumatica. When I click the Run Report button, it's going to give me sales profitability, again, by item and order. We can see which items are not moving, which ones we might need to increase our margins on, or maybe even stop carrying just because those items are not giving us any profit. If I need to take a closer look at our individual customers, we can see profitability by customer and order. Again, note that this report is going to group by customer. We can see that the shop is really not giving us a great margin. Maybe we need to renegotiate with them, or even find another vendor to serve them. The sales profitability analysis report, an inquiry in Acumatica, gives us a little bit more dynamic way of filtering things. We can see here by salesperson, use our item classes to summarize the data here. And again, these color-coded line items are showing us where we're making money, where we're not making money, and all visually easily represented. Some of the inventory reports, like dead stock, are going to show me those slow-moving items, things I've got too much of on the shelf. I've got how many days worth of stock I've got. Again, I can filter by class here to see which items I need to really take a look at getting out. The inventory turnover report, another one that's going to give me great visibility into multiple periods, and we can actually calculate this over multiple periods to show how much inventory we've got on the shelf, what's moving, what's not, and focus on those things that really are going to maximize our inventory value on hand, and again, keep that cash flow liquid. Now, I want to talk a little bit about what differentiates PC Bennett in the automotive space. You know, if you're selling auto parts, how complicated that can be, and you want to make sure you're shipping the right part the first time and that it's going to fit your customer's vehicle. With PC Bennett's Auto Fitment Plus functionality, we're going to be able to do that and minimize returns while maximizing our profit values. Drilling into the new fitment workspace added with Acumatica and PC Bennett's Auto Fitment Plus, you can notice that we can record vehicle VIN numbers like we showed earlier. We can have all the details related to that vehicle, all the parts that might fit automatically associated with that vehicle at the item level. If the owner is separate from your customer, we can track that as well, and then have continuity and visibility of that sale to that vehicle over time. If the vehicle changes ownership, we're going to be able to know all of the history related to the VIN, even if the owner changes hands. Being able to filter items by fitment means that we can run an inquiry and see all of the items in the system that are going to fit various vehicles across our inventory. So we know exactly what fits what car, and we ship the right thing the right time. You saw this filter functionality on the sales order screens, but it's also available through service order modules as well if you're not just doing distribution. So with all this functionality in Acumatica, those are the items I thought that would get your motor running if you're in the distribution industry. We talked about some of the dashboards and workspaces for visibility and taking quick action, inventory item management, centralized and efficient management and reporting, template and matrix items that we can use for faceted and complex combinations of items to make easy creation and updating of multiple items at once. We talked about kits, both assembled to stock and kit to order. We talked about replenishment and accurate profitability, including all the extraneous costs that might be eating into your margins. Sales orders with and without drop shipping support are going to allow you to recognize income and liability without affecting inventory on hand and keep things moving. RMAs, again, hopefully not too many, but when we need them, we'll know what's coming inbound and be able to manage credits to keep our customers happy and coming back. Some of the valuable reports like sales profitability, dead stock, and inventory turnover are going to help us keep things moving in the right direction. And of course, PC Bennett's exclusive Auto Fitment Plus. If you liked what you saw and you want to hear more about it, we would love to hear from you. So please reach out to us at pcbennett.com and we'd be happy to start the conversation. Thank you all for your time and attention, and I hope to be hearing from you soon. Have a great day.